I'm Louise Ledbrook, founder of Project Community. Thanks for joining me today for this online training session.
If you've already downloaded your free 27-point Set Up for Success project checklist, then you'll see under the first section, Stakeholders, the first point is about having a clear understanding of who your stakeholders are and who they are not. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Once upon a time, there was a project professional, and he knew that to successfully deliver his project, he was going to have to work and depend on a variety of people. He was continually hearing talk from other project professionals of the frustrations they were having with dealing with their stakeholders, trying to get buy-in and support, and simply sometimes all they wanted them to do was undertake a simple task. He even heard one project manager say in a meeting he would willingly give $100 to the next person who could influence their stakeholders to take action. But he knew that before he could get anyone to take action or get any kind of support, he needed to undertake action himself. He needed to do one of the most important processes in his project planning, identifying his stakeholders. This is not to be confused with an impact assessment. That will come later. So the first thing he wanted to do was understand 100% of the landscape. Who were all the possible stakeholders, suppliers, customers, third-party providers, anyone that was in any of his global teams around the world? Who were all the possible stakeholders on his project? Then he wanted to understand of that 100% landscape, who actually were his stakeholders. So to understand that, he wanted to be clear on who was going to benefit from his project. Who would have to do something different? Would there be a new system they would have to interact with? Would they have to undertake a new process? Who was going to be impacted in any way, shape or form, either positively or negatively? Who was he going to need to actually undertake tasks to successfully deliver his project? Who was going to be involved in reviews and approvals? Who was he going to need to support his project to get it over the line? And who is going to be able to help him get that support? And importantly, who was going to need to be informed of outcomes and progress through the life of the project? Once he was clear on who he thought his stakeholders were, he then knew that he had to do the next step. Actually do an assessment and understand who his stakeholders are not. It's really important that you go through this step because then you'll identify who the other people are in the organisation. Because although they may not be impacted or directly involved, they could be a strong supporter of you or of the cause, and any advocate is going to be a huge help to you in undertaking your project. Let me tell you why. Here's an example. In a survey by IBM of 1,500 change management executives about project failure, it was found that the biggest barriers to success were listed as people factors: changing mindsets and attitudes, corporate culture, and lack of senior management support. All of these things require support and advocacy. So even if they're not a direct stakeholder, they may be just the person you need to help you get the project across the line. If you don't undertake the exercise of understanding the full landscape and who your stakeholders are not, you may miss somebody. And there is nothing worse than reaching a critical phase in your project and realizing you have not engaged a stakeholder. This is a surefire way to make people unhappy and cause delays in your project. So let's recap. Make sure that you identify 100% of all of the possible stakeholders. Understand which of them are your stakeholders and are relevant on your project. And then make sure you understand and be clear on who are not your stakeholders. In the next video, we're going to delve further into this because just because you've put them in the not a stakeholder box doesn't actually mean that that's the end of the relationship. But you'll find out more about that in the next video. And our project professional, he's feeling pretty happy with himself because he knows that he has done a thorough stakeholder identification and he's well on his way to setting up for success.
If you want some more information on how you can effectively work with your stakeholders to influence them to take the actions you need to successfully deliver your project, then you can check out our really simple process that you can use during your planning process to ensure that. Just click the link below and it'll take you to some more information. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time.